There we go. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining Rise Up's workshop tonight. We are going to talk about journaling tonight with Miss Danielle Jones. Thank you all so much for being here. Greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat or feel free. Would you like them to wait if they have questions, or do you want them to go ahead and just ask when they have one? How would you like to do that?
If they just want to ask when they have one, but
Okay.
maybe we can, yeah, we'll ask them as they come up. And if it's something I'm going to address in a little bit, I'll just say we'll get to that. Okay.
Perfect. Really quick, if you don't have your cameras on, if you can turn your cameras on, just so we can confirm that you're a real human and everything is good. And if you can't turn your camera on, if you're having a tech issue or you're somewhere where you can't do it, I completely understand. If you can just message me drop that in the chat and tell me so that I know. And I'm going to turn it over to Miss Danielle Jones now. And Danielle, if you want to introduce yourself and run with it.
Okay.
Thank you so
Hi,
much for being
everybody.
here.
Thank you for coming tonight. My name is Danielle Jones. I am a mom. I have some background in marketing and public relations. It's been a few years though. I enjoy arts and crafts. And tonight we're going to talk a little bit about journaling. And then we're going to do a little journaling project that I hope you can maybe take and make your own and use it as a journal. So the first thing I kind of want to talk about is, what is a journal, right? I think some of us have ideas about, like, diaries with locks and little heart locks and keys that we keep tucked away, or something very formal, that you buy at the store and you write down your innermost thoughts. But really, it's just any record of your life. It's autobiographical. So that's what's kind of going to separate a journal from a novel, right? You could write a novel. It would be about anything. Somebody else, something else, another place, another time. But a journal is about you, and it's written. But other than that, it can be anything. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as we go. So it's just an autobiographical form of, not even going to limit it to writing, expression. Okay. Do any of you currently keep a journal of any kind? Just raise a hand. You don't even have to type it in the box. So maybe, kind of, sort of. Okay. So journals can be used to track progress, to set goals, to kind of take a daily temperature of your feelings or your thoughts. Some people use them to track their health or just general life goals, make plans, ideas, ideals. But it doesn't even have to be that specific. Your journal can track anything. You could have a journal that is a drawing journal. You could have a journal that's a sketching journal. You could have a journal that is, I had a journal in high school that was the daily weather, just the weather. And it was just something to kind of make me write every day. So it can be very specific, or it can be very kind of loosey-goosey. So now we're going to talk, I want to show you some different types of journals, okay? You can have pre-made journals. This is a journal I had when I was 8. It's my book about me. It had fun things in it, like, let's see, where I lived, what kind of house I lived in, right? But there were lots of prompts. Everything was very prompted. What my house had, windows, right? So you can buy a journal like this. Doesn't have to be this one, but it's kind of fun. You could have, here's another pre-bought journal that I had. It's a Wreck This journal. It's a lot of fun. There are many different versions of this. It says things like, bring this book in the shower with you. or tear this page out. I obviously haven't finished this journal yet, right? But this journal is like meant to kind of stretch you creatively, right? And then I have one of my favorite kind of journals is just a notebook. This is just, I really like graphing paper notebooks. That's what this is. And, you know, you can, if you go online and you search journal prompts, you can find 1,000. This was things that I love. Chocolate. See what else is in here. I like to collect quotes. So there's lots of quotes. Make haste slowly. More quotes and just doodling with it. It doesn't really matter what it is you put in your journal, as long as it, you know, it matters to you. So those are a few types of journals. I'm going to tell you about a couple others. So I showed you blank book. I showed you pre-made journal. Another common type of journal is letters. Letters that you write and mail to somebody, letters that you write and mail to yourself. Any kind of writing that you do that tells somebody about your life. Remember, we talked about it's autobiographical. So that's that type of journal. But we live in a very tech-driven society. So you could also use video. You could record video of yourself talking about your day or something you're passionate about, or, you know, just anything, you know, and keeping it for yourself or sharing it with other people. So video. Another type of journal that I use a lot is a calendar. If you keep any sort of calendar, that's a daily record of what you're doing. You can add in health things, you can add in special occasions and appointments, but a calendar truly is a journal. It's a daily accounting of your life. And then some unconventional journals is you could use a jar. I have a jar here with some water, but you could have like a little stack of paper and you could write something every day and just stick it in that jar. And there you have a journal in a jar. It doesn't have to be fancy. How many of you can just raise your hand. How many of you have ever had your height tracked on a doorway or in a closet? That's a journal, right? Probably don't need to do it daily, but it is. It's a journal. It's an autobiographical accounting of your life. Recipe books. Recipe books are great journals. Whether you have, you know, one that's special to you or one where you collect recipes and you write notes. If you write in, like, say you decide you're going to make a cheesecake for your best friend's birthday, and you make it and you print out the recipe and you make notes about, you know, I made this this cheesecake for Grace's birthday and this is who was there and it turned out terrible and this is what I did wrong, but you know, you keep that recipe so you don't use it again, but it's also an accounting of something you did. So recipe books can make great journals. And then I saw another one this weekend. Okay. A lot of times in journals, you'll see people do mood trackers. Has anybody ever seen a mood tracker before? It's like a little mini calendar and you color the box in. You make a key like a map has, right? So you pick like 10 colors and you write them down. Isabella, you have a question? You put it in the chat for me. But you have that key and you track your feelings with it. And then I saw a girl this weekend making a temperature blanket, right? Have you guys seen those? Where they knit one color for each different temperature and they knit the color for the day. Well, you could do the same thing with a blanket, but your feelings. I think that would be fun. You'd have a big blanket with your year worth of feelings and a different color for every day. Hopefully it would be like mostly one color, your happy color, but you know, hey, life happens. Okay. So those are some different types of journals. Now, I'm going to show you one more journal, and then I'm going to start our project. Okay. I'm going to show you this journal, and then our project tonight, I'm going to show you how to do the same project 3 different ways to make a journal. If you want to do it more than the first way, you're going to need tape. So we can take a little break while y'all go get some tape after I show you one more thing, okay? So this is a journal. I think I made these with maybe a couple of you before, but it's a notebook that we took out the spiral, replaced it with string to be fancy, and we put tabs on it. So it's just a regular notebook. And then I used tab dividers like this to make a prayer journal. Oh, your mom does the bullet journals? Let's see if I can fix that. Yes, exactly like that. Exactly like that. Yeah. Oh, I just lost y'all. There you are. Okay, so you can make a journal just out of a notebook too, and you can add stuff to it. So, does everybody have at least a piece of paper? You want to hold it up? Okay. All right. So, we're going to make a little book out of a single sheet of paper. Now, paper is made out of trees, and trees are fiber. So I'm going to show you how to do this without scissors. You can use scissors to do it, but you don't need them. So the first thing you're going to do is if you hold your paper up, this is landscape or horizontally, and fold it in half and crease it. If you crease it and you kind of pinch that crease, it'll give it a nice crease. You can turn it inside out then and do the same thing. It'll make a nice sharp line. All right. Now we're going to fold it. Now we have this kind of long piece, still horizontal. We're going to fold it in half. Get a nice sharp crease on that half. Okay. So we've got our piece of paper. We folded it in half. Okay. And then we're going to fold it in half one more time. All right. So you should have a little piece of paper like this, right? Now, if I open it, you see I have kind of 8 squares. I'm going to fold it in half the other way. So now I have it portrait, and I'm going to fold it in half. And I have a line there to use as a guide, right? Okay. So I have 4 boxes showing. I'm going to draw a line so y'all can see. Y'all don't have to draw this line. Do you see the line that runs between those 2 boxes? I'm going to tear that very carefully. You could use scissors and you could cut it, but I'm going to tear it. Now, if I open my paper back up and I fold it back this way, still have my hole. I'm going to squeeze it. Right? Y'all see how I have my two ends and I'm squeezing it. And now I have a little book. And now you have a mini journal. And you can journal about anything you want. And you can write the part that you don't care if your little sister finds on the outside, and your deepest, darkest, most inner thoughts on the inside. And nobody will ever, well, I mean, depends on how sneaky your little sister is, right? So there you have a journal. And you can make this however you want. Now, we made this with one piece of paper. Y'all check out what I did today. I used 8 sheets of paper and I made a big one, right? Oh, I taped it shut. I can't unopen it. Anyway, I just taped my pages together and I made a big one. So you could easily, and I used fancy tape here. Do you guys see my cool fancy tape? You could use any kind of tape. You could use masking tape. You could use Scotch tape. You could use stickers off bananas if that's what you had. I think that's the important thing to remember about journaling is you don't have to have anything special. Literally just use whatever you have or whatever you can find. So I'm going to show you how to make a bigger one real quick so that if you want to do so, you can. And if not, then we'll go back to this one, okay, before we're done. So what I've got here is I've got 4 pieces of paper. I'm going to show you in just a second. So I'm folding them in half. Okay. So I have 4 sheets of paper, right? I'm going to tape them in sets of 2 together along these edges. See? My 3-year-old was helping me with tape this morning, so my tape is not great. Okay. So, see? Tape together. And then I'm going to do that again. See? And now I have 2 of those, right? Now I'm going to tape them together. So I'm holding them together like this, but I'm only going to tape on the outside 2 halves. So I'm going to tape it and then I'll hold it up so y'all can see it. Okay. Oh. All right. So you see where I taped it together here? So now I'm going to kind of pinch the tape because that'll make it fold easier. If I open it up like that, sure enough, I've got a little book. So it's the same idea, just bigger. And now you have something that you can journal in. And you can use all kinds of things to make your journal yours. I like found stuff. I like Post-it tabs, Post-it notes. I get a lot of flower catalogs because I'm an old lady. And I like to cut out the flowers that are pretty. You can glue those in there. If you get sports magazines or clothing magazines, whatever you want, cut it out, glue it in your journal. I get a lot of religious magazines. You can cut stuff out of newspaper. Newspaper is great because it's lightweight, so it's easy to put in other things. Calendar pages. You know, I talked about using your calendar as a journal to keep track through the year, but you can take pages out of old calendars. Not even sure what year this is from. Anyway, you can take pages out of old calendars and you know, you could cut out the dates and glue them on, you know, make your own kind of calendar if you wanted. The other thing is, you know, this is kind of, it's bound, it's all connected. You could just as easily take a couple of sheets of paper, and use something like binder clips to attach them. You know, just clip it together. And then with binder clips, you can squeeze the little metal parts out. So see how that is in there if you squeeze it. It's hard to do when I can't see it. If you squeeze the metal part together, it will, I promise, come out of there. And then it's on there and nobody else is going to take it apart. So you can make your own. You could even, where did it go? So I have a flower catalog here. You could tear some pages out of that and journal right in the catalog, tear out the pages you want, bind those together. So everybody has their little journal they made, right? We can make a journal for tonight. So, some basic things about daily life, right? Make a page for the weather, make a page for what you ate today, a page about how you feel, a page about something you're worried about or excited about today, and just do it up, you know, put your name on there. I will work on mine. And if you have any questions or thoughts about it, I would make a couple suggestions. So I have a bunch of pens here, a bunch of pens. You want to think about what your material is when you choose your pens. So I know that this paper that I have is newsprint. This Sharpie is going to bleed right through it, right? There's a couple things you can do to get around that. In my journal here, I have a sheet of paper that I just stick in between. You can use something nicer like, okay, so this is me saving a piece of tape because I want to reuse it. You can use parchment in between your pages so that, like this page that I did, it was a doodle page. It bled through this side, but it didn't get this page, right? So that's going to help preserve your other pages. That was parchment. This is just a scrap piece of paper. And look how fun that is. Like, it's almost like a journal in and of itself, right? It's like a record of all the things I journal. Absolutely. It's a good way to organize thoughts and ideas. And it's a good way to show progress. I will show you. I thought I had, let's see. I thought I had more drawing in here. I was going to show you my very terrible peacock feathers I tried to draw one time, but I can't find them. Well, so here, okay. The first bunny I learned how to draw. Bunnies improved upon. So it's a good place to practice. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I'll tell you the other thing is like journals are starts and stops. You will meet a few very dedicated people that write in a journal every single day religiously, no matter what. If you start keeping a journal tonight and a week from now you stop, that doesn't mean you're done forever. It just means you need to take a break. And when you start back up, you can either make a note. I didn't feel like doing this because I decided I'd rather go for a run. Or I took a break because I needed to get some new pens. Whatever it is, don't feel like if you miss one day, you can't just go back to it because you can. And if one type of journal isn't right for you, you know, keep trying because you might find something that you really enjoy or that really means a lot to you and that you do for a longer period of time. Um, see, look, here's some bunnies when I was practicing. But it's a way to remember, it's a way to honor that time. And um sometimes it's a way to catalog things. I like to keep stickers. So that's the basics of journaling. And you have your little journal to get started with tonight. If you need help with an idea of what to do on a particular page, so you've really got a front and a back and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inside pages. And you can finish it all tonight, or you can start it tonight and spend the next 8 years filling it up. There are people who keep lists of words. There are people who keep lists of songs and books they read. I don't know if y'all have ever seen the ones where people draw a bookshelf and all of the books are empty. And then as you read books, you fill in the names on the bookshelf. That's a really fun one. I don't read enough books, or maybe I read too many little kid books and, it'd all be The Cat in the Hat and Dr. Seuss. And we'd have to have 200 pages of bookshelves. I don't know. Does anybody have any questions? Whatever it is you want to do in your journal, I'll tell you that I'm here to talk about it, right? I'm here to give you the 10,000-foot overview of it. But whatever you want to do in your journal, there are a million resources out there. If you want to try calligraphy, there are lots of sites on, fancy handwriting. Or if I love fonts. I have like 1,000 fonts downloaded on my computer. If you want to do fonts, there's tons of websites that will teach you how to do that. The mood trackers, there are a million different takes on that. There's no way I could show you all of everything, of all the possibilities of journaling tonight. But if there's one you have a question about, I'd be glad to answer it. A checkbook. Okay, so I know nobody keeps checkbooks anymore, but if you had a checkbook, that's a journal. It's a daily accounting of your money spent. If you keep a running total of what you're spending and where, that's another journal. It's just, it's something that you can look back later. Your grandkids can look back later. It's a good way to remember those things that might slip by.
So for those that don't like journaling, and I Googled it real fast that I can share if you don't off the top of your head, or maybe you already said it and I missed it. What would be the point in journaling? Why would someone want to journal other than, I mean, you did say some of the reasons, like to keep record, but like scientifically or health wise, what are the benefits
Sure.
to get them started long term?
Well, I think it depends on what your goal is, right? So you could keep a food journal of everything you ate every day. That might help you identify an allergy or something that just disagrees with you or something that makes you feel, good. You might be like, "Oh, the day that I ate, you know, uh apples and oatmeal for breakfast, I had a great day." Well, it lets you see the big picture for things like health and spending too. If you're tracking your spending in a journal and you can go, oh, look, I spent $80 at McDonald's and I spent $15 at Starbucks, you can get, and I spent $45 on gas, you can kind of get an idea. It gives you data to use to analyze and make changes or decide you like what's happening, either way there. Tracking um things like migraines or ear infections are things that get tracked in our house. Appointments, those things help give you a point of reference to make decisions going forward in the future. Um, I think the thing about journaling is that there might be some people who don't want to write every day. And I get that because writing can feel hard. It can feel hard to get started. It can make us feel self-conscious to write our thoughts and our feelings. So sometimes starting with journaling in an informal way can help us move forward to uh, better journaling, like the bullet journal or the mood tracker. If you start just writing a dot of color for how you're feeling every day, then maybe that can move to something bigger where someday you do feel empowered to write. Today was a rough day and this happened and that happened, and I really wish that I could have handled it better. Or, today I felt really good and I had the opportunity to do these things. So I think it's about giving yourself knowledge about yourself, whatever it is, whatever thing it is you journal or track, Um, sometimes it's just fun. It's just fun to see how you've changed. If I look back at things that I saved or wrote when I was in high school versus now, it's kind of fun to meet new me and old me together. So sometimes it's horribly embarrassing too. But I think that's the goal. I think it's knowledge either for yourself or for, future generations. We look at other people's journals, old historical journals, and we understand about weather that wasn't being tracked, or we understand, we can gather information about politics from people's journals or popular culture. Yep, you can absolutely type a journal. Google Docs is a great place to just open a document and start typing. Like I said too, video. You could keep a video journal, just someplace. Pictures. You could, every day you could take a picture of the same thing in the same place and see how it changes. Or you could take a picture of yourself every day, and see how you change. You could just take a picture every day. If you go online, there's lots of lists like photo challenges, and they'll give you a list of prompts. And sometimes they're like tied to, like, April would be like, there'd be one about like Easter and spring and the change of weather. So there'll be like words to kind of prompt you to take pictures. But then that kind of makes you look inside and say, oh, what, if it said, oh, there was one the other day that I saw, and it was like growth. Well, how do you take a picture of growth? I can go outside and take a picture of a flower, but it's there, it's not growing. So how would I represent growth? And that kind of, sometimes journaling with prompts pushes us to think, and explore and be creative. But journaling doesn't have to be a creative undertaking. It can just be um, a record. Does anybody else have any questions? Anybody want to show us what they've journaled so far? Show us a page. Oh, I like it. Anybody else? Oh, that's pretty. Now y'all are like, what's she looking at? Very nice. I think quotes are a great way to journal. I think um quotes quotes help us kind of sometimes give us a place to launch and um kind of a point of reference, you know. This one had one of my favorites, make haste slowly, right? And that's the motto of the Medici family. And then see, this is really terrible drawing, but I did it anyway. And this is their coat of arms. Um, so I think that um, song lyrics are great too, you know, especially if they match your mood and you know, you for yesterday, total eclipse of the heart, right? To be super cliche there. Um, Finding quotes that kind of match what's going on in the day. Um, the Wreck This Journal has some good ones in it too. I like, there was one that was um coming up with like this one, just testing pens on a page. Ooh, I'm throwing things on the floor. A lot of ways, I mean, you could even think about like school workbooks are kind of a journal, right? You start at the beginning of the year at the front, you work your way through, you see how far you come, you see what you learn. Maybe you throw it away at the end of the year. Maybe your mom tucks it in the attic until you're 44 and then tells you to take it to your house. Doodling is fun to journal. Any kind of note taking in a way is journaling. And if you are taking a lot of notes for school, it's kind of a way to practice. You could practice note taking. You could watch a show or listen to a song and you know, see what kind of things, you know, jog your memory. Like some people use like little single word bullet points. Some people need to write like the whole thing down as they go. So it's a good way to practice note taking and experiment with different things that work for you. I don't know. I've got these I got these last year. They are see-through post-it notes. So like if I were gonna journal in a magazine, I could put the post-it note right over top and I could write something there, or like I could um trace this flower and then so I traced the flower and now I can carry it over here and put it in my journal. So it's a that's a fun little journal thing. There's a word for collecting paper and things, and I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like ephemera, but you can think like you could glue movie tickets, concert tickets into into a journal, anything that kind of showed your movement, receipts. If you ever think you're going to have a job where you have travel expenses, just keeping track of things like that can be helpful. Anybody else have any questions or thoughts or want to share what they did in their journal? Sometimes it's fun. We have there you go. We have a journal, and I don't have it right here, but it's a doodle journal, and it has prompts, things to doodle, and we pass it around our family. And sometimes it gets lost and doesn't get drawn in a while, and then all of a sudden it'll show back up, and that's kind of fun. So you could share a journal with somebody, something that you pass back and forth. The Wreck This Journal is meant to be mailed. I don't know if you can see that, the to and from. It's meant to be shipped. So you could share a journal with somebody or more than one somebody. One of the unconventional journals I talked about was a jar that you could put notes in, but your junk drawer is a journal. It's a accounting of who you are and what you have. Oh, Jackson, you found the little pass around doodle journal. If you travel, you could send yourself postcards. You don't have to write a 4-page dissertation on your day or your travels. You can just keep it simple. Good day, bad day. Isabella, we did something the other day. It was a happy and a not happy. We used a euphemism there that rhymed with happy. And so yeah, even just one good thing, one bad thing. I'm terrible at witty comebacks. I don't ever remember them, but I get home and I'm like, oh man, I wish I would have said that. Perfect journal. Things I wish I would have said to strangers on the street. Beautiful journal. That I think falls under the problem solving journal. Coming up with witty things to say to people after the fact. If you have a job and you have a performance review, keeping notes on your accomplishments, things you've learned, things you've improved upon. I mean, in some ways, a resume is a form of journaling. It's a list of your skills and your accomplishments and your skills and your accomplishments and your goals. So it's a form of journaling in a way. And I think too, something that is in there is that, I think sometimes I know for me, and I know a lot of other people have a hard time talking about themselves and saying nice things about themselves and speaking of themselves in like a positive light. And I think journaling gives you the opportunity to try that in a place that is a little bit more private, It's kind of a place to test ideas and thoughts out.
Anybody have anything they want to share about their journal? No questions?
I was going to show y'all this really quick just so that you can, oh, that pen is the same color as that pen. So where I was saying about Um, like you could do like this, right? So each feeling has a different color. And then you can, so that's what like the mood tracker would look like. And then you would have um either a grid, like a composition notebook, or like a graphing paper notebook. Let's see if I can find a blank page in here. Where you would color in each little square, you know, or you could use another shape, anything that had, you know, you could do it for the week and it could have 7 parts, or you could do it for a month and it could have 30 or 31 parts. But so you can see how there's like a little key. You just make the key. You make it your colors. With all your fancy things. All right. I'm sorry, Sandy, I interrupted.
No, you didn't. You're good. I wanted to, before anybody needed to jump off, because we're getting close to time, I'm gonna stop recording. So I wanted to thank everyone for being here, but do not leave yet, because there's an important thing that I did not tell you about, but I don't want it to be recorded. Thank you so much, Danielle, for your time and for sharing with us tonight. It was very interesting and educational. There were several ways to journal that I had never thought about. So I think that's a great tool or opportunity for people that thought that a journal was just having to write your feelings down or having to write how their day was. So it's so much more than that. And so that I think is really important to know and understand. Thank you.
My pleasure.